Hey Trans Youth, this is Samantha, and I'm just going to jump right into this week's topic because I think that it kind of applies. It's been on the list for a little while, and I've been having a few issues with how I and the other bloggers are actually going to answer the question. I think that I just had an occurrence that can at least get me somewhat in tune with the question. And at this time, I think that a lot of the vloggers on Trans Youth can probably relate to this. So we're just going to go ahead and do it now. And this is supporting your partner in telling their family, coming out about dating a trans person, because a lot of times that can actually be very difficult. That can have a lot of impact on the way that your partner's family views them. And your transition could, in effect, cause them to be just as stranded as you were when you came out. If you had familial issues, those familial issues can easily be reflected in your partner's family. Now, unfortunately, the reason why I don't feel that I relate to this is because I am currently in a relationship with a transgendered woman that came out before me. Her family went through all of this already. And because they went through all of this already, they kind of had like this prior idea when I came into the whole situation. So when we started dating, there was a very different type of relationship than one would expect with a normal trans relationship and families and stuff like that. So recently, I had a nerve-wracking weekend. Actually, just got back tonight with my partner's family for the weekend in their little tiny log house mansion out in the country of Colorado. And it was really great. I really loved it and I really enjoyed it. But there were a few things that I did notice about the way that the family carried on with the transition, post-transition, and my partner and myself. So, a little bit about my partner's family. When my partner came out as trans, she wasn't really initially connected with her family at all. She thought of them more as people who raised her, people who just did things around her and took care of her. She wasn't really connected to them as people. And when she came out, she made it an imperative that in her transition she would come to discover the people around her as friends and family and coworkers, not just that person there and that person there. So the entire family dichotomy was kind of healing in the first place. But my partner's father was very religious and very Christian, and you can see how that wouldn't exactly mesh up. So he's been having a lot of trouble with my partner's transition, and then you're adding me into the mix a few years later. Side note, her father actually did have us split rooms because he's old-fashioned that way. So I wasn't allowed to sleep in the same bed as my partner that I've been with for, what is it now, 3 days short of a year. Now, my partner's mom is totally cool with everything, totally fine. In fact, kind of freakishly so. She's just, yeah, sure, definitely, these girls or whatever. And she definitely slips up a little bit, but otherwise, there's no issues there. The dad is very religious, and he has stated before, according to my partner, that the two important things in his life are that his kids are okay, they are well raised and everything, they are doing great in life, and that they are Christian. So you can understand that kind of base dichotomy, that base thought that kind of clashes. And my partner's been trying to get over that for the past several years, been trying to connect with her family better. Now, to be fair, when I went to the place and I was observing all of this, I noticed that what my partner said about her relationships were not as close as what I actually saw in the relationships, but the dad definitely did have some tension to it. He messed up a lot. You could definitely tell that he's trying, but he liked to take several opportunities to kind of try and shift her, try to save her in kind of his eyes. And that was something that my partner had a lot of issues and trouble dealing with. So when I saw them all react and everything, it seemed like they had accepted it, but they didn't quite understand and take it in completely. They were getting the pronouns and they were trying to get the pronouns, they were trying to get the names, but they didn't completely understand how my partner felt. And that was something that I had to support my partner with. My partner, however, was not completely innocent. She does have a lot of issues connecting with her family because of her pre-transition ideas of what a family was, just people around her, people to take care of her. So she did kind of zero out as soon as her dad started talking, and I just kind of had to be there for her and support her enough to get her to grow into understanding what family means. And that meant squeezing her hand or putting my hand on her shoulder, saying I understand. And when they did something that was kind of against what she wanted, such as getting a pronoun wrong or violating her respect as a woman, I would have to say, that's okay, that's fine. And just like in a regular relationship, we also had the issue of her being embarrassed about her family. So I had to support her and reassure her and tell her that was okay. So far as supporting my partner in coming out as trans, I didn't really have to do that, but I did have to support my partner in interacting with her family. She has said to me that the best part about me being there was that I kept her very interactive and I kept her with her family and helped her understand. Otherwise, what I kind of learned from this is that supporting your partner is incredibly important. Even if your partner is LGBT and has already come out to their families, it's very important that you support them when interacting with those families because there are always going to be differences and there are always going to be slightly edgy parts if they did not get along at first. And having the aspect of a partner come in, especially if it's a lesbian relationship and you're both trans, which kind of confuses your family members, you have to be there for your partner. I know that I was very, very nervous about meeting her family, and I was very nervous about how they would perceive me, a trans woman, dating their trans daughter. So I required a lot of support from my partner for that. And I think that's going to be the same no matter what interaction you have with a potential partner or anyone, especially when meeting their family. I hope that the rest of the week will have somewhat intriguing stories about all of this. I know that Kid is actually going to meet her boyfriend's family here shortly, so hopefully we'll hear from her. If you do have questions for Trans Youth Channel, we would appreciate it if you sent them to transyouthchannel@gmail.com. Very important, seeming as we are a viewer-oriented channel. So be curious, be inquisitive, and send them to transyouthchannel@gmail.com. Thanks, guys. Bye.